Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cyber Threats Live. My name's Simon Linstead. I'm the founder of the InfoSec Live community and your co-host this evening with Aaron Lax on my
Nice to
right-hand
see you.
side. Aaron, do you want to give everyone a quick hello?
Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Friday.
We're
And
super excited to be doing this. For those of you that were at the live stream on Monday, we've had so much demand in bringing Aaron back on that we've even created a special show for him every Friday called Cyber Threats. So we've got an hour today, and the plan is to make this as interactive as possible. So I'm asking you to drop your questions in the chat if you have them, and Aaron and I will try and pick them up. Aaron and I are going to start off today by talking about the threats that have happened this week. I say we're going to start off talking about it. Aaron's the expert. He's going to start off talking about the threats this week. And I'd ask you all to jump in with any questions as we're going through. Please do like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're on LinkedIn, hello, LinkedIn family. Thanks ever so much for attending. Please do connect and follow both myself and Aaron as well. So, Aaron, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you and ask you to give everyone an overview of the threats we've seen this week, please.
well, I mean, what haven't we seen this week? But obviously, the top one that we both agreed with and starting with is, well, basically, what do y'all think about AWS? Well, I mean, where are we now? We're living in a world where a quarter of the world's websites are reliant on one single corporation. That's a scary thing.
And
Um,
Aaron, it's been, whilst we've seen tidbits of people saying they're having problems, as far as I've seen, it's been very, very quiet on a response
it's
front.
been extremely quiet, and I mean, I on the first day, I of course said DDoS. Yvonne, I don't know, throw your input on there. Because yeah, I mean, it is 100% been silent from Amazon in regards to anything that's occurred since that day. And honestly, today they actually there was another article in which they stated that they were having issues possibly again today. I saw where something like Snapchat and Facebook were having issues with Amazon Web Services. So yeah, it's an ongoing problem that Amazon is yet to confirm or deny on what is going on. So,
They won't confirm or deny until it's been fixed, Aaron.
no, and I mean it's honestly pretty interesting because if it is a DDoS, which I mean, yeah, they will have to disclose that eventually, but they've had multiple attacks actually in which they've mitigated them, and therefore if this is a DDoS that actually managed to take them down, yeah, that was a extremely large DDoS, which actually Yvonne posted one yesterday, which was quite a large DDoS botnet in itself. 16,000 servers or 16,000 endpoints, all or IPs being used together in the system of basically a botnet, and therefore entirely probably for DDoS or crypto mining, who knows?
Yeah, it
But
could be either.
yeah, no, I mean, it's been crazy.
So, with regards to AWS, we're a bit lacking on any further information. Have we got anything on any
Unfortunately,
other on
yeah, I
any other
mean,
threats this week, Aaron? Have we got
oh
anything
goodness,
else?
yes, yes, most definitely. I mean, obviously, for all those you with kids out there, Minecraft right now is getting hit with a nice little issue. Apache that uses Log4j has a vulnerability that is being exploited in the wild, and one of the affected products so far has been Minecraft, and I'm sure there will be thousands of others as this story develops. But yeah, I mean, these are just things that continue to occur, and obviously that's an exploit that Apache has been a product for many, many years. So these are things that can occur just in the spur of the moment,
And
and
it's a well-known one that people practice with as well. I
oh,
remember when I
most
was
definitely
going through
widely
my,
used.
my
I mean,
OSCP coursework last year, a lot of it was
yes.
around the Apache
No, I
vulnerability.
mean, most actually, I would say quite probably. I don't know the percentage offhand, but I would say most of the users that are Linux based would use an Apache server for their web server.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a heavily used system. Obviously, that's a major issue. Um, they've got, well, geez, we've also had issues with cryptocurrency this week. In the last 2 weeks, we've had three different cryptocurrency, DeFi banks basically hacked, in which $330 million was stolen from all three
Wow.
combined. 100 and I believe it was 149 in one, 142 in another, and then something like 30 or 40 something in another. And so yeah,
So with
with
with the
those
way the
kind
markets, with the way the crypto markets have reacted this week, Aaron, do you think that's got anything to do with those attacks, or do you think it's more linked to the economy in general?
no, I would say it's a combination. Most definitely had impact, in which those of which are seeing, yeah, these are major institutions that deal with our transactions that are being attacked. Does it necessarily vulnerable? Is it a vulnerability that affects an average user? I'm not sure. I believe these are mostly attacks that are going to be taking away from the company itself. Therefore, insurance, which is another thing that's been going on this week. Cybersecurity insurance is in a flux. So yeah, I mean, we're dealing in a world that just is in constant evolution, like we talked about Monday, and yeah, there's just constant changes, and cryptocurrency is obviously going to be affected by security, um, and the inflation. I mean, honestly, right now, I have kept my cryptocurrency, which I call my play money. It's just a small little chunk. Just stable. I haven't moved it at all because no, that's just we're in a wild market right now.
I think the problem I see, I mean, after spending 20 years giving people financial advice, the last few years has been crazy from a returns point of view, and
Oh,
especially for younger people who've never experienced
yes.
economic cycles before. It,
Oh no,
I do
no.
worry that there are a lot of people exposed to cryptocurrency in general who've been, especially with the ability to spend on your Coinbase card or whatever it may be.
Oh
People
no.
use it as a current account, and
Yes.
that is a big accident, in my opinion, waiting to happen. But we're not here to talk about financial services, so I should stop.
No, no, but I agree, and that in itself is 100% a scary situation, in which, yeah, I mean, it is not cybersecurity related, but I will tell you that a lot of tech geniuses and tech people that have entered the market and made a lot of money in San Francisco have definitely invested heavily in cryptocurrency. So yeah, it is a mixed bag there. It may not be dealing with security as far as that, but there are a lot of smart people that have dealt with technology that are in the cryptocurrency world.
Very,
And
very
of
much
course,
so.
uh,
I think
most
we've got a bit of an issue technically wise with the chat. We haven't got any questions coming through. So if anyone has got any questions and they want to send us one through normal LinkedIn messages or any other means, please do feel free to reach out. I'm not sure if it's an issue with the restream or whether it's an issue with the connectivity. But if you could bear with us on that, hopefully we'll get some more questions through. Oh, here we go. Mohammed, you're coming through. Let's bring this one up. Here we go. Thanks, Mohammed. Why do most businesses not invest in having better protection systems? That's a good question. I see most of them learn a lesson and after they start taking measures. Do you think there is a lack of awareness? Well,
sounds
my
like,
my single word answer is yes.
yeah,
the lack
no,
the lack of wanting to spend money, Mohammed,
yes,
might be.
yes. Unfortunately, no. awareness is out there. I mean, you're seeing it every day on the news. Even I mean, people are noticing. Even my president asked me when a major cybersecurity event occurs, what's going on. Um, but like Simon said, yeah, finances and having to invest in companies. Basically, I mean, if you're going to secure yourself and you don't have a 24-hour service, well, 24-hour companies hours division, whatever you want to call it. Sorry, kind of went off on a tangent there. You're going to have to hire a third party vendor, a SOC, a security company, in which they'll monitor while you're off. So regardless, yeah, I mean, it's an investment of around $60,000 just for the security company in itself. And so, and
It's
that's,
also a complete change of mindset, Aaron, for some companies, because
yes,
some companies have never even considered it before, and especially
no,
companies who've got a legacy and they're not a massive firm, but they're a small firm. They've been trading for 10, 15, 20 years. It's never been an issue. All of a
yeah,
sudden, to find that kind of money within a business's budget is very, very difficult. Um,
oh, most definitely.
but there's got to come a point where either regulation will dictate these people have to take action.
I agree. And honestly, with the amount of small businesses, because they're saying something like 98%, which I do not see how that's possible. But if that is true, 98% of small businesses being at least exposed to some sort of cybercrime this year, that should make you aware that something is needed. I mean, protect yourself in some way. If you cannot pay a company, like I said, that amount of money, I understand, but do protect yourself in such ways, such as firewalls, gain knowledge yourself. If you can't hire external people to secure your
I
system.
think you just said about gaining knowledge yourself. One way out of this for larger firms that haven't engaged yet is to give people within the organization the ability to upskill. Um,
Almost definitely.
because you've got a lot of people who've got the IT background who've got 70% of the knowledge they need already. So maybe it's a case of employers offering more support to those within organizations to up their games.
I agree. No, and honestly, that is one thing that has lacked in every company I've ever been involved with. They want you to stay in your lane, and but in all reality, yeah, the best way to go about learning something is by getting your hands wet, like we talked about Monday. And so, yeah, get your hands wet, ask questions to those people you're working with, learn about your systems that you have, and do your best. Monitor the basically everywhere you can monitor every day as far as if something in your systems is being threatened. Look for ways to mitigate it if it's currently not patched, and once that patch comes out, get the patch going. um, so, yeah, I mean, small businesses are extremely vulnerable due to their lack of funds. Even larger companies, which as we see have the funds, they're being hit regardless. So, I mean, we are dealing with cybersecurity teams that, well, just need to completely focus on the evolution of cybersecurity because it is changing at all times.
It is, and I think whilst the 98% figure that you mentioned earlier sounds quite unbelievable,
Yeah, I
if
don't
you
know where
think
I saw
about if
that.
you think about it though, Aaron, if it's a case of a company a company sustaining having an attack, it could be as simple as someone receiving one of those phishing emails that my wife got last week, because effectively that is a form of attack, isn't it? So if
Most
you if you frame it like that, then it's near 100% probably than it is 98%, isn't it?
In all reality, yeah, I mean, that was actually one of the things I had written down to talk about the disclosure of the State Department. Yeah, that very thing happened, and that's how it occurred. It was basically a smishing attack, SMS phishing attack that worked. They were able to get the credentials of a United States State Department representative, and they were able to access the data of the State Department for God knows how long.
So
Um,
for our viewers who are breaking into cybersecurity,
mhm.
what are the most common forms of attack, Aaron, that we're seeing at the moment?
The most common forms of attack that we're seeing at the moment are, of course, ransomware attacks, which are based on basically exploits to the system that come about. Most of them are actually, well, it's going to be kind of it's an intricate question because yes, they are groups. However, there are a lot of these groups that in my opinion, they act like a cartel
Yeah.
in that they have a head, but they also have individualized groups that have no idea about the others. Therefore, if one goes down, you're protected. There's layers
Yeah.
of
That's
protection.
siloed effectively.
Correct.
Yeah.
And therefore, these smaller, less sophisticated, not the heads of the security, are receiving the tools from the heads of the smarter people, and therefore they're basically using script kidding. They're script kidding, and they're hitting attacks that are just as effective as those.
Doesn't
If
have
you
to be
really,
sophisticated. It's
no,
a
you
numbers
do
game, isn't
not
it?
have to be smart. You can
Yeah.
literally hit a button and it will attack. And unfortunately, it's being extremely successful. Um, I mean, right this week, the in infrastructure, the Australian government mitigated, I think it was what, 300 million users from a power outage. However, they did have another entanglement with in which their power company had some of their data leaked. So
Didn't they also give a fairly stiff sentence or arrest a fairly high
they
profile
did.
hacker this week?
Oh, well, them and Canada. I believe Canada definitely did. I'm not sure about Australia, but I was actually surprised that Canada, yeah, I mean, it was not like an official military, it was
No,
not
it's the police.
FBI.
Yeah.
No, it was the actual police. And so I was actually impressed by that. But yeah, no, he was supposedly a high ranking member of somebody that attacked ransomware within the United States and Canada, and yeah, they got him.
I think the
I
way
was,
you compared it, Aaron, to organised crime and a cartel is something that I haven't heard it described as before, but it makes absolute sense because it's a very difficult animal to fight as well
it
because
is
everything's siloed the way it is. If you knock one out, you've got another 400 popping up. So
right,
it makes you
exactly,
wonder how you're ever going to fight against that.
and that is one of the problems. I mean, yeah, I mean, we used RICO to get rid of the organized crime in America, but how do you get rid of a hydra? And
Yeah,
it's hard when you cut off one head and two more grow back.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's
without wanting to get political, it's also hard when some people who are doing it are sheltered by their own governments, isn't it? Without
very
mentioning any
no,
names.
it's that's very true. I mean, when you're protected by your own government, which many of these attacks are, yeah, you're protected in every way.
Well,
And there's
while we're on world affairs, it's a strange old week all round, really, isn't it? We've had your president on the phone with the Russian president this week. We've
yeah,
had the British
yeah,
Prime Minister just lying to everyone, really, and making himself look incompetent whilst having a new baby. Congratulations, Boris, for that. It's the one thing you have done
most
right this
definitely,
week.
most definitely.
And as much as I'm laughing about it, the whole global crisis at the moment is quite scary. And what really scared me was the fact that after the call with the US and Russia on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, the upshot of it was that Putin was going to come back to you in 2 weeks with some answers. Well, I don't want to talk things up here, but I've got a funny feeling he might have invaded Ukraine by then.
Uh, no, yeah, I mean that whole situation in itself is interesting. In addition to the fact that he who allowed Edward Snowden to live in there. And meanwhile, we have Julian Assange now being extradited to the United States,
I saw that
and
today.
the
Yeah,
Russian government killing off Tor. So yeah, I mean, it's just the world is definitely in an interesting place.
it is.
Um,
Let's move away from politics because I shouldn't have mentioned it
I
in the
agree.
place.
It's
um,
interesting.
Mo's just asked another question. Thanks, Mo. Do you think companies need to invest in their employees and create them awareness about attacks? For example, what to click, what not to.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. I know that for smaller businesses, KnowBe4 offers free tools to send out phishing
Do
attacks,
they?
simulated phishing attacks. Yeah. And that's, I mean, honestly, yeah, as far as training goes, personal one-on-one training with your actual IT administrator within the building honestly sometimes works better if it's a small company. For bigger companies, they do have products that have different training mechanisms depending on how advanced your users are. Um, but no, yes, 100% training is needed
I mean,
in regard.
people are the weakest point because
Oh, always.
most of
I
the
mean,
attacks are through the people rather than
yes,
anything else. And
and yeah, no, social engineering is still highly used. I actually watched a webinar myself from the company that I just mentioned, KnowBe4, with Kevin Mitnick, who was
yeah,
that the most infamous hacker in the world, and
yeah,
another one of my connections. His name's Percy, and I can never remember his last name. Sorry,
let's hope he's
Percy
not
Gordon,
watching.
I believe. Yeah, no, not at the moment, unfortunately. But they had a great, I mean, in which this was they were hired to attack a company, in which they did, and they were able to. This was during the print nightmare scenario in which they were able to completely gain access to the building, completely get data credentials with a multi-factor system by basically walking in with two backpacks that had card readers in them, having those RFID cards copied and cloned within an instant, calling up once they had gotten into the company through the RFID, using the company directory to call up and pretend they were IT support by having the name of the IT support, and then having calling somebody. And basically, they apparently had a program that allows, once you put the numbers within your phone for multi-factor, it would read those numbers. They actually did it twice, so to ensure definitely this is the code. And yeah, so I mean, social engineering is 100% effective and 100% still the case. Humans are always going to be the problem at
It is.
with
Do you know what I think, Aaron, as well? I think
what's
whilst
that?
we're always pinning the blame on companies not training up their staff,
No.
it's big. It's bigger than staff, though, isn't it? Because cybersecurity impacts us all in our day-to-day lives. And
Yes.
last week, when my wife received that horrible kind of blackmaily text
Mhm.
through, it made me really think. There's a young lady called Luna Winchester who's in the LinkedIn community, and she's now starting
Yeah.
up her own business to aim at families, sports clubs, individuals, because the only way you're ever going to have a security first mindset is if you embed it into the country's culture, not just the companies. It's the members of the public who need to be aware of it. I mean, I've been helping out in a local charity shop today, and the understanding of the general public of things like data protection and data security is non-existent.
No,
Um,
I mean, that's very true. I mean, honestly, if you were to actually poll the entire United States, who everybody has a smartphone, on cybersecurity, you would not have, yeah, you would be significantly
so
surprised
do
on.
so do you think then that maybe governments should be providing more support?
That's
in that?
actually a very good question and a
Because
very good point.
no one ever talks about that.
No, I mean, in all reality, yeah. I mean, it's probably the government that should do it, and
But we're
they're
too busy arguing amongst ourselves, aren't we?
yes. Right now, they're relying on public companies to do it, and I mean, right now, if you look at Google, we have PlayStation applications that have been copied and malware inserted into them, and you literally are, yeah, you're carrying around a personal spy device. And that's both iPhone and Android. Right now, Android's a little less secure due to the fact that Apple does a little more protection, but
Yeah.
you're scared. You're in a scary situation both ways.
Yeah, you are. I mean,
um,
it's not the book George Orwell's book 1984. I don't know if you've
oh,
ever
it most definitely
read
is.
that. It's it is a very Orwellian time that we live in, and I
Yes,
think the
yes.
UK has got the most CCTV cameras per head of population anywhere in
I
our
I think I
cities.
know London does most
Yeah,
definitely.
London. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
London. And I just think we've allowed this invasion of privacy just to become the norm, haven't we? And to kind of accept it. But when we look to see
yeah,
how deep that invasion is, and like you say, your smartphone is a personal tracking device that you carry around with you
yeah, most
everywhere.
definitely. I
It doesn't
mean,
affect
video.
me because I never leave home, Aaron. But
Well, they can
sorry,
still.
but I've noticed that we've got a question up and I keep ignoring it.
Yes,
What's the
yeah.
difference? I don't know the answer to this either, so thanks for asking. What's the difference between firewall and endpoint security?
Well, honestly, they are two different things entirely, and therefore, yeah, firewall is going to be an appliance. Well, basically, it can be an appliance. It's software also. Within corporations, for the most part, it's an appliance
Yeah,
that
it's
sits
hardware.
right
Yeah,
right behind your where your internet comes in before your routers,
yeah,
before your servers. It basically it protects you before your internet connection hits your servers. Endpoint security is actually for threats that get behind that firewall, and therefore your it's actually endpoint security is on the user's machine itself. um, for something like Windows 10, where you have Windows firewall and endpoint protection, basically those are the same things. The only difference is that um, basically your endpoint protection is encompassing what a firewall can do in blocking ports. And the only difference is that advanced firewalls have things that allow you to create rules, such as if I was to get something from a specific company or country, rather, company, it
yeah.
doesn't matter. I could drop it before it ever hits our network. Therefore, unlike a home system, it would hit the network due to the firewall. But
But you'd be surprised, wouldn't you, when you're using the internet or doing anything, how many countries you ping through on that journey?
oh,
And
good.
I
Yeah.
think it might have been Kevin Mitnick's book where he speaks about the fact that the US managed
Yeah.
to use that in quite a clever way, so they could effectively eavesdrop on anyone's communications
Yeah,
because at
most
some point
definitely.
it hits that US server and then pings out.
Yep. Almost no, and that's very true. And not just that. I mean, they use the United States and other countries are now tapping into the ocean line. The basically those giant transmission. Yeah, they're tapping into those that underwater, and so they're getting every bit of transmission
So
between.
we'll be arguing about that with the French next, not just the fish. It'll be the lines under
Yeah,
the sea.
most definitely, and
Honestly. So look, I've got a question here. I've got three questions that members of the community asked me to pose to you
yeah,
today.
let's
So
go.
I'm going to bring the first one up now. And the first one is, where are the biggest opportunities for new people who are coming into the cybersecurity industry? A very broad question,
That is a very broad question. Let's see. The biggest.
Let's make some assumptions on that because I know who's asked the question, and it isn't someone who's coming with previous career experience in another
Okay.
career or
Okay.
industry. It's someone who's coming pretty much straight out of education into
Okay.
the industry.
Well, then with education, you at least have the acronym knowledge that I was failing in early in my life. But no, honestly, in regards to the biggest opportunities, cybersecurity in itself is going to evolve constantly in the next year. So keep your eyes open. Right now, the biggest opportunities are, of course, blue team, honestly, more
Yeah.
so than red team. Because companies are wanting to protect themselves from those malicious actors. The malicious
You could argue as well, Aaron, that there are more entry level blue team roles perhaps than there
Oh,
are
most
red
definitely,
team as well,
most
which
definitely.
also means at the moment you've got lots of people focusing on red team, so it might be a good time to pivot if you're trying to break in.
It's a good time to be into. Well, I mean, if you're on blue team, you're gonna have to know a bit of red team, and
Yeah.
so I mean, yeah, it's definitely a good time to be into penetration testing.
Let's think about why that is then. So, why are there more opportunities? Is it because there are more large established companies who have SOC services and outsource to SOC services than there are red team companies? What is the difference, Aaron? What do you think?
The biggest problem is that there are a lot of companies that do not want to pay these extra companies to analyze their systems. So they want to have internal reviews, basically. Um, Basically, probably for compliance and standard issues, in which they don't want an external third party to see their services. Um, and so they're wanting to protect themselves in every way. I mean, once you're hitting the internet, basically you're a vulnerability
Yeah.
in every way. I mean, from it depends. I mean, your software, your hardware, everything can leave you vulnerable, and so that's the problem right there. And the fact that that's what red team and blue team people are trying to exploit. Well, blue team's trying to protect, red team's trying to exploit. So that's why. And other roles in regards to red and blue team.
I'm glad
Um,
someone asked that question actually, because we always
yeah,
focus on the industry always
yeah.
focuses on red and blue, but we forget about the purple and the white and the
Well, most definitely. The purple is obviously a combination of red and blue. White, I'm actually less familiar with. My
well,
Simon, you.
apparently there's a white and a yellow. I saw a color wheel that one of our community members posted up the other day. I think the
Yeah.
yellow was the supporting roles because let's not forget,
Okay.
cybersecurity is now a
Right.
massive industry. So we
No.
haven't just got red, we haven't just got blue and purple. You've also got all the supporting roles that go along that. So
Correct.
cybersecurity companies still need admin support. Cybersecurity companies still need marketing help. They need sales
Correct.
support. So for people who are trying to break in, I think there's too much focus on getting in on one of those roles when especially for let's use our technical support person tonight who happens to be my 16-year-old son. He I mean for him the easiest way in would be through IT, I would suggest. And the more
Yeah.
he can learn about information technology, whatever role he ends up in, he
That
can
and
pivot.
that I agree with you 100% there, Simon. I mean, it's honestly get into IT. That I mean, basically, you can learn your role as you go. You can make your own way, and
Do
so
you want to hear my really unpopular statement? Let me just read Sonny. Yes, Sonny, you're doing your work experience at Aviva, which is amazing. So he's getting to do 1 day a week day release there, which is
well,
fantastic.
that is even
My
better than.
controversial statement today is there aren't any entry level roles in cybersecurity.
No, most definitely not.
That's my opinion because
Well,
it you have to have the IT understanding and knowledge first before you can
either
even think about.
that's true. You did. I will give you that. But on the other hand, are any of them ever fully experts? Being as though it's in the constantly evolving situation, so you can never truly be a cybersecurity
No,
expert.
absolutely.
And Um, no, in all reality, I mean, other roles, obviously, smaller companies are not going to have cybersecurity. I'm in a middle-sized business. I am a server administrator. I do cybersecurity passion. I have a passion for cybersecurity. I'm proficient in cybersecurity. I obviously do my own cybersecurity and for my company, but I do not have, like I said, the certifications. If I wanted to, I could go into a cybersecurity role.
But that's because
However,
of your experience, isn't it?
correct.
Yeah, not
And,
because of
but
any. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and slate off certificates because they do have their relevance, right?
right.
But
Oh no, most
equally,
definitely.
there's a lot of people in this industry who are probably head and shoulders above others who've got no certificates whatsoever. So
Right.
there
No.
are lots of different ways in, but whatever way you do it, it involves a massive amount of continuous learning.
Yes, it is continuous learning. It is everyday learning, and that's exactly the point I was making, Simon. That I was a developer. I actually started out to get into due to 2009. We were in the middle of the recession. I started out as help desk.
Yeah.
I went from help desk to senior developer in a year, and then from there I became system administrator. So yeah, I mean, it's just growth. It's growth
It
within.
is growth, and it doesn't matter. There isn't a right path, I don't think. Everyone keeps saying, "What's the best way in?" There isn't a best way in. There's
No,
the
no.
only way in is by incrementally learning more every day, achieving more every day, and getting more
And
information under your
showing you
belt.
know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, and sharing the fact that you're doing that as well is important.
correct.
Mohammed, you've asked another good question. I think I even know the answer to this, or Sunny, our technical support might. So, with the amount of tech growing, do you think it's time for schools to include it as a subject? Definitely think, especially based on what we were talking about earlier, with maybe governments having some responsibility to educate the general public a little more on cybersecurity, it should form part of schools. I know
Right.
that there are
Yes.
some companies, EE being one of them, who are offering sort of training for children. I know a few people in the community are also putting something together. But as far as a subject goes, we've now got in the UK something called T levels, technology levels, which I think, Sonny, is the first year of those this year,
Really.
where
Nice.
they get to choose. I'm hoping he's going to drop something in the chat to tell me what I'm talking about at the moment. But they focus around having a career in information technology.
Right.
And
Right.
you can pick different subjects to go with it. And it's the equivalent, I think, to 3A levels, which are like advanced education levels. And Sonny is really, really enjoying it. And here we go, Sonny. Yes, I can choose whatever I want. So he can choose whatever subjects he wants to do in digital technology. He's
Yeah.
managed to land a
No,
placement at Aviva
I mean,
one
that
day a week, which
actually,
is brilliant.
that's great. No, that is great. In the US, they do have cybersecurity as far as classes, and they actually do have as far as majors go now as well. Um, and as of the last time I have heard, as we were talking about governments, Simon, I didn't remember this, but the United States actually did provide a grant for 3 universities to create a cybersecurity um,
Oh, wow.
2 year, yeah, a 2 year schooling program. And one of my two alumni, well, I'm an alumni at one of the schools that has actually been selected, the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. And so, yeah, no, it is definitely, if it is not everywhere, going to well, if it is not everywhere currently, it is going to be everywhere soon. And I mean, it's just something that needs to be taught. But in addition to that, they also need to teach basically the history of computers, because cybersecurity, yes, you can understand it, you can learn it, but without the knowledge of the networking, the knowledge of the servers, the knowledge of everything you're actually dealing with and trying to protect, yeah, I mean, you're limited in your knowledge just coming out with cybersecurity.
I mean,
I'll
I
say
think I've had this discussion with you before, Aaron, but
that.
when I had my own business, I've always loved tech and I've always been,
Yeah,
I thought, quite good with computers.
right.
having our own office, everyone used to come to me if they had a problem. So yeah, no problem. I could normally fix it. Then I decided to try and get into this industry, and following the route on Cybrary, the first exams were CompTIA A+, and I
Right.
thought, this is a waste of time. I know all this. Do you know what? I didn't know any of
No,
it.
no, I mean, it's complex. It
Yeah.
really is. I mean, I can tell you that right now, if I was to go back and actually look at what a CompTIA, I probably couldn't pass it full on. I
Well,
mean,
I
there's a
just I
lot
hate exams, full stop. I think the problem I've got with some exams is some people can remember things to pass multiple choice exams without having any comprehension of the subject. And I can't see how it can benefit anyone being able to remember information to tick A, B, C, or D. I think the only exams, in my opinion, that hold any relevancy are those where there's a practical aspect where you actually have to show that you can apply the knowledge that you've learned. So I suppose my advice to anyone looking at exams would be to choose ones where you can apply that practical knowledge, because cybersecurity isn't an industry you can break into and blag your way through. There's lots of industries where you can blag your way through with not very much knowledge, but this isn't one of them. You know, you get found out very, very quickly if you don't know what you're talking about. Aaron, I think you're doing two things at once there, weren't you? Were you typing?
Yeah, sorry, I was talking to your son. I was. I
Oh,
kind of tuned you out there. Sorry.
it's all right. All right, what have we got? So, for someone wanting to switch roles and has over a decade of IT experience and wants to get into a role dealing with GRC or identity access management, what do you suggest the best way to approach getting a different role? That's a great question, and also an area that we haven't touched on. And GRC and identity access management,
Yeah.
again, I'm not a technical expert, but when it comes to looking for the type of contracts that businesses are looking to fill, there are loads of them at the moment.
Oh,
So,
most definitely. And well, honestly, that's where. What is your current? I guess
there
that
you
is
go.
the
Okay,
best
it says
way.
current background being everything from help desk to purchasing, training, and system admin.
Okay, so you have the
You've
background.
already got it.
Yeah, I mean, the most. So basically, with that background, especially your system administration background, you're if you're wanting to enter compliance and basically identity management, um, I guess the best way to go about doing that, because I've never pursued that in myself, so that's kind of a hard question and for me to answer as well. But I would get into every bit of, well, and in between those two, I would actually look at identity management myself,
It's just because it's
because
more interesting.
well, no, because right now we're dealing with the biggest issue being passwords. So, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I mean, that's where I would go.
I
Obviously,
mean, I'm
compliance.
not a cyber expert, but my advice on this would be you've already got the experience. It's
Yeah,
now more about creating your profile on whether it's LinkedIn or social media or wherever you want to start getting your name out there,
yeah,
proving what you know and
yes.
building up a network of connections, because
Networking is definitely going to be key.
all I speak to is people who moan about sending off resumes and CVs and not hearing anything back. I mean, I don't want to ruin anyone's parade, but I've never got a job through sending in a CV or a resume. I've always, I mean, I know it might be different in the roles I've had in the past, but
No,
networking
sorry,
is
I was
everything.
shaking my head at what he just said. I was yes and no.
Yeah, it's I can't say enough how important it is to build up a network of connections, because
Oh, most
it's a
definitely.
numbers game sending off resumes and CVs. You've got to get through the algorithm,
It
you've got to get through gatekeepers. But if you
it
bypass the gatekeepers, identify the firms you'd like to work with, start
yes.
to social engineer, yes, I said
Socially,
it,
yes,
some
no, definitely
relationships.
socially engineer network
Yeah,
connections with those human resource people at those companies. You
I'm
most
I'm
definitely
sure Ben Brown from Ronin Pentest won't mind me saying this, but my first job in cyber was with Ben as the head of
right,
global sales for him.
right.
I'll be honest now and tell you how I met Ben. I met Ben through pretending to be my younger than me wife on Facebook, while I was marketing her
That's
video
good.
promo business.
That's
But let me just clarify, I didn't let that play on for long.
right, right. No, of course
It was
not. Of course
a
not.
quick, oh, my husband's interested in cybersecurity, and we did an intro. But again, if I wasn't even on social media at that point, but if I hadn't been on my wife's social media account, I wouldn't be sitting here now having this conversation with you. I'd probably be a painter and decorator.
Yeah, well, no, then that's the way it goes. I mean, the world is definitely just random and connections. I mean, basically, networking, like you just said, is key. But your story was great.
It's true. It's true as well. And without wanting to do a sales pitch, because these aren't meant to be about that. Our community InfoSec Live, I've put in so much free training for people to access there on
Yeah,
soft
no, I've
skills,
checked it out. It
networking,
looks
goal
good.
setting. And also there's lots of people in the community who will reach out and help with that profile building. And
Yeah,
also being a member of whether it's InfoSec Live or whole Cyber Human Initiative or Cyber Mentor Dojo or Cyber Jobs Hunting or ESDN or any of these others, it doesn't matter as
it
long
puts
as
you
you're
in the
in there and
network.
you're building up that
Yeah,
network of connections.
yes, yes, most definitely. Join them all. That's
Yeah.
my suggestion. Honestly.
And there are an
Um,
awful lot of good people in this industry who are prepared to help as well and give you some guidance. And
oh,
the most
definitely.
valuable thing is being able to jump on a call with, say, someone like Aaron or Ivan, who's in the community, or any other experienced people who can give you an insight and connections, possibly. So I mean,
Yes.
that's my two penneth on it. I'm conscious we've got 15 minutes left. We haven't covered off all of the threats we wanted to, but I do want to bring something up really quickly before we do
No,
that.
definitely.
And what I want to bring up, if I can find, oh, Sonny, well done. Look at
Yeah.
this technical dream. So if I can work out what way to point, there we go.
Oh, you
January
got
the
it. You got it. You hit it on.
although
Yeah.
my hand disappears.
It
January the
does, but you
21st.
got it with the first time. No, it
We're
did.
holding an open event for 5 hours. We're going to be live streaming all of it. And the idea
And
is we're going to have 15 industry guest speakers. We're going to have resume and CV workshops. We're going to have rooms where you can come and meet some experts and meet some mentors. And the idea is it's a great chance for everyone to network. We're hoping to have a few thousand go through there on the day. It's absolutely free. I'm doing a final call out now for speakers and co-hosts. I've had such an overwhelming response from it that I'm going to have to close the applications down probably by Monday. So if any firms would like to get involved and help all of our aspiring cybersecurity professionals, I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for donations. I'm asking for your time. Please give us an hour of your time to come along and present to some of these people who are desperate to break into the industry. Sales pitch done. How's that? So, Aaron, I'm going to drag you back from your keyboard now.
no,
And
I was typing.
yeah, go on, Sonny. Have you got some messages? So let's see what we've got in the chat here. So,
Yeah.
Sonny,
So Prime CYIT. What are you trying to say right there with the finding the role?
I think he's saying you just got us finding the job, isn't it? I think is what he means.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
events
and
like
I
that
think
one. Yeah.
finding the role, the best way to do that is back to the networking thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, most definitely. That combined with events like what you were just touting. I mean, yes, no, 100% get involved. That is 100% the way to get ahead in life in every way.
The other
Um,
thing, let's just go back to the whole breaking in again, because for those who haven't got the experience that Prime SciIT, I'm not sure how to say your name, sorry. People who haven't got your experience coming into the industry, everyone's hung up on finding these entry level cyber roles. And one, I think if you're pivoting from a different career or a similar industry but different strain, or you're coming out of the military or you're leaving a different profession, you shouldn't be looking at entry level because you'll be bringing across stuff that you can hopefully relate. And for those who are leaving school or leaving their further education, there's very few opportunities for those junior cybersecurity roles. And I would suggest making your way into information technology or information security by any way you can. Once you're in, it's easier to pivot across.
yeah, I mean, honestly, yes. Once you're in, it's a matter of getting your foot in the door. Like I said, even if you have to start out like you did in help desk, I mean, that's the way to do it. Just get into the IT world where you're having to move further and further. I mean, yeah, it requires daily learning. It requires daily talking to the people you work with to find out everything about your systems that you're dealing with. If you're actually looking to move to another company due to things such as money, obviously, being overpassed so many times, other things like that.
Toxic cultures
Yeah,
and yeah.
build networks like we just talked with the human resources people. I mean, there's multiple reasons why people are wanting to move ahead, multiple issues with companies, but no, definitely always keep your network close. I mean, even if you're in a job where you're happy, I mean, honestly, I'm happy with my job and I network constantly.
Yeah,
It's the best way to learn, even. I
it
mean,
is.
so definitely that is, I agree with Simon in every way on everything he said. And yeah,
Not
just
everything. Not about the bit about me pretending to be a woman and the social engineering, though, Aaron. Hey.
I love that. Nah, that was great, actually. I mean, if you have to pretend
Maybe
to
I'll wear a
be,
dress for next week's show. If someone's prepared to donate to charity, I'll put a dress on for next week's event. How's that?
if you have to pretend, let's do it.
You haven't seen my legs. You don't want to see that. We've got about 9 minutes left. Let's think about any threats that we've seen this week that we haven't covered, Aaron. Have you got any left
Yeah,
on that
most
list?
definitely. All right. So threats that we haven't covered. Let's see what I have. Well,
Oh, it
let's
was
see.
Nick, by the way. Hey, Nick. I didn't know that was you, Prime Sci IT, Nick. Thank you very much
Uh,
for the
Oh,
questions.
yeah, nice to meet
Yeah.
you. Well, nice to see you, Nick. Okay, so let's see. Of course, we have well, some JavaScript issues where, yeah, there's still, I think, 17 RPMs that if you install them have Discord malware involved with them. So yeah, beware there.
Yeah.
If you have any of those 17 RPM libraries, basically, yeah, definitely beware. Um, we had another incident with Microsoft in which they actually had a DS store file, which is interestingly enough a Mac OS file on one of their systems, and it was allowing the city of Vancouver's credentials to be just released publicly. So uh, monitor your servers, monitor what's going on, monitor your file structures.
What about app permissions as well? Because I saw an
Oh,
interesting one
definitely.
this week. I can't
Mhm.
remember which one it was, but all of a sudden this app was requesting access to your downloads folder.
Yeah. No, yeah, no,
And I
exactly.
think we all,
Yeah.
well, not all of us, but a lot of us blindly accept these.
Just accept, yeah. No, I mean, and so yeah, definitely pay attention because if it gets access to something that it shouldn't have, yeah, you're in some danger. And honestly, even if it doesn't, and it is this malware, and then has exploitations in which allow your user to go from a regular user to a system user, which we had with I believe the MS hack.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's vulnerabilities out there that allow complete access takeover, and therefore once you have a file that is a system file, even as an administrator, it's nearly impossible to get rid of. It is a very difficult thing. um, yeah, other issues, of course. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've just had all sorts of ones. I showed you my two-page list.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean
trying.
the AWS one is the big concern, I think,
It
at the
is.
moment.
There was another one that happened end of last week that I didn't discuss Monday. That even though they say they didn't get the data, it is probably the scariest hack that I've seen, and that is
Which one?
3.1 million records as far as DNA collection company.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, if they say they got credit cards, but can you imagine if they actually were able to get the DNA manipulate
I'm
the
more worried
actual
about them
data.
making clones of me in 50 years' time.
I, they could target entire populations,
Yeah,
specific populations. I mean, Jewish, Arab, anything. I mean, basically, you
that's
could
really
be
scary.
targeted. Yes, it is incredibly scary, and the fact that yeah, they were that close to that data, that is even scarier. So I
But then
mean,
I saw another story this week that isn't related to cybersecurity, but is related to solar flares. And from what this story said to me, it might be that we're all living out of out of wooden
yeah,
huts in a few years' time.
yeah,
Anyway,
no, I mean, honestly, solar flares are a huge problem with the current industry. In
well,
fact,
we're so reliant on we're so at
we're
risk.
so vulnerable to
We
'em. I
are,
mean,
yeah.
we have no protection against a solar flare, and so, yeah, no, it's basically an EMP just coming and wiping out our entire world's
And
technology.
for any other fellow paranoid wrecks out there, I suggest that we all post our home
A
addresses
Faraday cage world.
in the community should we lose touch at any point in the future. Because we were only saying earlier, Aaron, weren't we, what an amazing thing the internet is in that it does allow us to bring together people from different
Yes,
countries, different
yes.
cultures, and
Almost definitely.
it's a good job because at the moment in the world it seems as though everything else is pulling apart and countries and individuals are becoming more insular, and with that we're seeing more and more conflict within
Right.
those insular
Almost.
environments as well, which
Yes.
I think it's important that we all try and do our bit to make sure we don't follow our government's leads at the moment and
Yes.
try and help as many people as we can.
And yeah, I mean, I myself, I'm a mentor for Hack for Earth, which is I'm not touting them in any way, but
Oh, please do tell us a bit about
oh
them.
well, it's an organization that it's literally HACK for FOR
Yeah.
Earth.com. And basically, it's not actually hacking, but it is basically creating techno- technology breakthroughs that will allow basically sustainability, green energy, anything that it
Oh,
aids
okay.
in basically like lower class cultures to thrive. I mean, it's so yeah,
Is it? I
no,
mean, if we're talking redistribution of wealth, there certainly needs to be something done on a global basis with regards to that.
most definitely needs
I
to be,
think,
but yeah, I mean,
unfortunately, we all had hopes at the start of the cryptocurrency that that might be a way to do that. What's
yeah,
actually happened is all the people who had all the money before have
got
now bought
more.
all
Yeah,
have now bought all the cryptos.
yes, yes, that is very much the truth.
Yeah.
Very much the truth. All right, so let's see, grab this last question. What is
Okay,
the
what have we
first
got?
thing a developer should try to do in the event of a zero-day vulnerability? Whew. A developer, um, in the case of a zero-day vulnerability. All right, so I would assume you're talking about like something like that JavaScript vulnerability with those RPMs. Since a developer, um, basically you're gonna have to find a way to get that RPM out of your system, or you're going to have to basically do an analysis of where that traffic is going and block it in your firewall to where basically they're not getting the information that they should be getting through the malware. Um, that doesn't necessarily protect you entirely. The best way is obviously to remove the package itself. There are ways to mitigate it, of course. Isolating the machine would be the first thing I would do, but that in a production environment is impossible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a combination of basically that would be pen testing. You would have to do a
You have to
Wireshark.
spend some money.
Yeah, well, yeah, most definitely. Either that or no
You know,
Wireshark,
we're
and
talking about packet capturing. While we're on that, I've had over 10 people now ask for help with that, with regards to
Mm,
understanding. Maybe we
yeah,
should do a live walkthrough, or get one of our community members to help us do a live walkthrough on that,
yeah,
because
yeah, most definitely. I mean, honestly, Wireshark is a very complex tool. Packet analysis comes very fast, and yeah, I mean, has a lot of information. So if you don't know what you're looking for, it is complex.
it is.
Um,
I'm conscious, Aaron, that we're now about to run out of time. We're on our last 30
we
seconds.
are,
So
but
I just want to say a couple of things quickly. Firstly, Aaron, thank you so much as ever. It's been an absolute
most
pleasure.
definitely, I'm
And I
grateful.
apologise for my children now starting to scream in the background, but I have got 6 of them, so it's going to happen
Well, it's
at
good to
one
meet you,
point.
Sonny. I'm glad you helped very much.
Yeah, I don't think it's Sonny screaming. He's 16. It's one of the 3-year-olds. It's been really good having technical support as well, Sonny. Thank you so much. For everyone who's attended and watched, I thank you too. Please do like and subscribe if you're on our YouTube channel. Please let
And
us know what further content you'd like to see as well. And for those that haven't joined, please come along in the community and say hello. Aaron, any final last words before we go?
yeah, I do. In addition to that, yeah, maybe pay attention to the January event that Simon has going on
Yeah,
because
I
I
think
most
for
definitely,
anyone trying to
yeah,
break in, what I'm trying to do is give everyone the platform to showcase what they've learned, showcase their skills, and also
right,
learn from people who are recruiting in the industry, people who are existing professionals. So all the things we've been talking about that help you develop your career, I'm trying to make a day of it on the 21st of January. So yeah, thanks,
yeah, I
Aaron.
mean,
Final call out there for anyone who'd like to get involved. That'll be great.
most definitely,
quick
and that,
quick wave quick wave from both of us to say goodbye, and I'm going to play you out with our usual video from the community, telling you what they think about it. Again, thanks so much, Aaron. It's been a pleasure. See you all soon.
Simon, I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
And it's been so great to be part of this awesome community where you can learn, get potential jobs, and this is the part that the community has helped me the most, being able to get a great contract in security, and thanks for this.
You don't have to be super experienced in order to contribute. They really foster a sense of community, and they encourage everybody to contribute anything that they can, regardless of whether you're just starting out in your career or if you've been in the career for decades. I like the different challenges that they have, the different pathways that you can follow, the fact that you can join communities that are specific to you and your needs. It's a new and growing and thriving group, and I'm really proud that I was able to be a part of it from almost the very beginning.
It's given me a community I could lean on, and the people in there are always willing to help. I've also gotten to break into cybersecurity because of InfoSec Live, and I'm very grateful for that.
Cybersecurity professional or trying to become one, you need to get onto InfoSec Live.
Whether you are brand new to the field, whether you are pivoting from another IT career or you are pivoting from a non-IT career, this is the place for you to. Also, even if you are an experienced professional, there will be something here that you can learn.
InfoSec Live has been great for me because it's brought me closer to other like-minded people, and I've been able to pick the brains of some real industry experts that are also part of the community.
To the right place, because listen, let me tell you that infosec.live is everything that it claims to be. A vibrant community. They've got all that you need on infosec.live. Listen, they tell you infosec.live is addictive. Get on board. Come and get addicted.
Get on InfoSec now.